Hey, what's going on, traders? So I wanted to go live, and I'm going live because one of our Learn Plan Profit members, Zubier, right? So hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, and 4 hour and 180 days. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen just so you guys, so you're gonna be able to see exactly what I have going on here. Just so I can see if you write anything, I'm gonna have you write on over here. But this is unlisted, it's private, so no one else can see it. But as of right now, the Learn Plan Profit team. But I really like your question. So it's kind of this question or this idea, right? What is level 2 and how is that use it? There's many different ways. And again, I don't want to just say that this is the only way that you can use level 2. But one of the things that I want to present to you is I really use it for two purposes. One of my biggest things is, to identify a support and resistance level. Not because I'm in a position, but I wanted to use the example today. I was trading DGAS, right? So I can move on over to DGAS, and once it pops up, you should be able to see how I traded it, right? With, where I bought, where I sold, where I bought, and where I sold. And the profit that I made. My biggest focus today was I saw that DGAS was not really, selling off. Natural gas was selling off, and with that being said, DGAS was bullish. So as natural gas sells off, DGAS pushes up. That's great. We're all aware of that. Now, my thing was, as I was entering DGAS, that's the pattern that I have in mind, that natural gas is continuously selling off while DGAS pushes up. So as it pulls back, there has to be some form of pattern that it has to stay true to, right? And one of the biggest things that I was paying attention to is as natural gas was selling off, and I made it very apparent in the live trading session and also in the trade ideas that there was this support at 2.57. And one of the things that we noticed is that every time that natural gas approached 2.57, it wouldn't really break below that. It would push right back up, act as a resistance, pull back, hold above that. So all I, was paying attention to was 2.57. Sometimes I don't really like looking at the market price, and that might just be me. But anytime that you ever see me trade live during the live trading sessions, one of my biggest focuses is looking at the bid and the ask and where that is, so I can ensure that, again, we're still holding above 2.57, right? It's not that I was trading against natural gas or anything like that, but it was made very apparent to me that this was a support. And again, by being able to have access to level 2, I can see where the bid, people are buying, and the ask where people are, asking to sell. So the reason that this was also super effective is now let's say I'm trading it, right? So if I go back to my open position and I click show trades, you'll be able to see where I bought and where I sold. So this is important because DGAS has a pretty big spread. Not every stock, not every ETF is like this. Some just have a spread of, maybe a couple cents, maybe a 1 cent spread, meaning the difference between the bid and the ask. But sometimes we've seen DGAS have a spread of like $1 or $1.50. Right now it doesn't count because the market's closed and we're pushed into extended hours. So I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about normal trading hours. Like when I was buying at 1701, the market price wasn't necessarily at 1701. It was like, the bid could have been at 116.90 and the ask could have been at 117.10. The biggest thing is, like, again, I just want to have an idea of where that support is. I get in within that, and then I can keep an eye on the bid and the ask. When it began to push up and go according to plan, right? You guys saw today in the live trading session that I was really just waiting for that break above 117.50. And again, I'm not paying attention to the market price, but I'm paying attention where people are buying and selling. And we continuously saw it move up and down, move up and down. So the reason that I find level 2 to be so effective is if you see something, in my case today, so I'm just going to use me as an example, as we continuously see, DGAS try to push up, but it continues to get rejected at 117.50, and every single time that it pushes up, it just continues and continues to get rejected, then guess what? I can see that within the bid and the ask that we're struggling to break above that resistance, and then it's probably in my best interest to just close out that trade, because based off of what I've noticed, it's not breaking that resistance. The same thing with that support. if we're approaching a support and, you see a very solid support where it's not breaking below, let's say it's 107. This is just an example. Then guess what? You can, again, identify that is a pretty solid support. And as long as it stays above that, then again, I'm going to hold my position. But if we break below 107, if there's a break of pattern and it never broke below that, then guess what? I'm probably going to want to cut losses. A perfect example can be on natural gas. Natural gas was selling off, but it never broke below 2.57. Let's say I'm someone that wanted to day trade degas. I wanted to buy the UGas. Sorry, not degas, but UGas. So therefore, when natural gas is oversold, and let's say I picked up on this pattern after the first time it happened that it didn't break below 2.57, but every time that it approaches it, I'll buy UGas, right? And then it pushes back up, and then I'll sell it. And then again, it sells back off, I'll buy UGas, right? And then it picks back up, and then I sell it. I buy back down here. There's this pattern that you can have. But as soon as it breaks below 2.57 and we see continuous lower lows and we see a break of pattern, we're like, hey, it hasn't broken below that support before, but now it has. So now there's a break of pattern. So therefore, I might want to manage my risk. And again, that is only made available within the bid and the ask. Therefore, yeah, the market price is great because it kind of gives you like an average of the in-between. But altogether, one of the things that I like to use it for is to identify where support and resistance level is. And you can just see that by watching the bid and the ask, and what it struggles to, break above, that would be viewed as a resistance. And what it struggles to break below, that would be viewed as support. But I also like to use it when I'm buying and selling, right? We're all about getting, a good deal and for a good price. So is this live? Yeah, Zubair, it's live. So we're all about getting it for a good deal, right? Therefore, if I can see, right? If I'm looking at, DGAS, and I'm seeing that, hey, it's trading right, one of my entries was at 180 shares at 117.10, right? But if you see, it barely broke below 117, right? It barely broke below 117 for a very little period of time. So I did a pretty good job getting that at a pretty good price point. So therefore, if I see the bid and the ask trading between 117 and 117.20, I'm going to try my best to get us close to the bid or to the support that I'm viewing as 117. And again, it's not because I'm looking at the market price that I can see that, but it's because I can see where people are buying and selling. And as a buyer, I probably want to get as close to the bid as possible, not the market price. As a seller, of course, I want to get the most for my money, so I'd probably want to get to as close as possible as the ask or the seller. One of the last things that I want to also talk about is sometimes with not so much of these larger, cap ETFs or ETNs, but sometimes for like $5, $10, $15, how many of you guys have ever experienced that sometimes there's a resistance at $1, right? Or at $2 or at $3, those whole numbers, or $1.50. One of the things that I notice is that if there's a resistance, and I've seen it before at $5.50, that I'll put my limit order. Again, I can see where everyone is asking to sell, and I'll put my limit order again, because you can control where you're selling at. I'll put that maybe 1 or 2 cents below because I could see where other people are selling. If I already have enough margin of profit and I don't care for the extra 1 or 2 cents, then again, I can put my limit order 1 or 2 cents below them. Therefore, I get filled first before they do. Same thing when it comes down to your stop loss. If you see a support here and you see that it hasn't broken below 117, and you can see that between the bid and the ask, then maybe you can set your stop loss at a little bit below 117, whatever you figure that out to be. But yeah, just wanted to give you a quick breakdown. I thought that this would be a little bit more of an efficient way when it came down to explaining how I kind of use level 2. So again, I like to use it to have a better understanding of where people are buying and selling with that support and resistance. So maybe where it struggles to break below as a support, and what it struggles to break above, and then that would indicate signs of resistance. Of course, we're wired to want to get the best deal possible, and if you can see where people are buying and selling, when it comes down to taking your next position, then you can at least have a better understanding of how to get to as close to the bid as possible so you don't get filled at the overall market price. So if you've been buying at market price and trading DGAS or UGAS, the spread can be pretty big sometimes. And if you're trading with enough money, it can make a big difference. So again, hopefully this can get you one step closer to becoming a little bit more of an efficient trader. So message me on Discord if you guys have any questions. Thank you again.